Hey guys, it's Mark from markmatthews.com technology blog. So the core of this video is going to be about a new system that I purchased, a new computer system, a sort of a gaming video editing class system. It's a pre-built system from Amazon, CyberPower. But wait, don't hit stop on the YouTube video yet. I'm going to first talk about the two core components of this system, which are hot off the manufacturing lines, and I think that has a wider appeal to people watching YouTube videos in deciding, if they're going to add these components into their own system, if they're going to build their own PC part picker guys, or there's also a big, huge portion of the consumer market that just wants to know that they're going to get a great quality machine at a great price. So we'll take the step back. CPU. It is the i7-9700k CPU. That's what I have here on my box. I will tell you as we talk about this box later in the video, the exact same configuration seems to be available in the AMD 3700X. Those two products in the Intel versus AMD seem to be in the comparable price performance range. So the 9700K, which I have, is it seems to be the next step up from the 8700 that was out previously. So an interesting thing, the 8700K was a 6 physical cores, 12 with the hyperthreading, the virtual cores. When Intel came out with this system, they went up to 8 physical cores, but they chose to not provide hyperthreading. You can go back and forth on it. I've read a lot of commentary, people seeing it different ways. Was there really advantages to the virtual cores? But what was really telling to me is when there's some guys that are really into this benchmarking. They build identical systems where they can just swap out the chips. And what I saw is that the Intel chip in video gaming was giving faster frames per second than that comparable 3700X AMD Ryzen chip. The way it's sort of explained is video game programmers are going to code to the physical cores. They don't really care about virtual cores. It codes to the physical cores, and so the faster clock speed and cores and all the other fun stuff that goes into the chip factors in more than having virtual cores. Hyper-threaded cores. So on the flip side of that, though, what I saw with the video too is when they went into the business applications, something where, obviously not Word, but something where having power in your CPU and your GPU is a factor. When they were doing Adobe Premiere, it seemed to render video faster on Adobe Premiere on the Ryzen chip than on the Intel chip, and the belief of that is, well, the business applications are utilizing the virtual threads. Now, of course, the GPU plays a big part of that, and in this comparison or comparisons that I saw, they were using the exact same GPU graphics card. So I have the Intel. I'm probably going to do more video editing than gaming. So based on what I just said, you'd think I'd get the AMD. You have to look at the pricing. I'm going to give you links to both of the products on Amazon, the pre-builts, and you can look at the pricing and make a decision. And I'll probably pull out some of the links that I found for YouTube and put them on there also. On the GPU side, so this is really exciting stuff too. The RTX line of the 2070 Super, the 2080 Super. Yes, incredibly fast cards. I was running Wolfenstein, Youngblood, Youngblood 1080, but all uber ultra settings. Using the Geforce application to set the settings. It picked everything at the top, and I was running at 240, 250, up into the 300s. Sometimes dipping down into, I'm talking frames per second. Sometimes dipping down to 180. When I get out into a street scene and I'm at like sort of a fork in the road and there's multiple buildings, maybe a dip to like 180. But yeah, it's really fast, beautiful graphics. But the real advantage of the RTX card, and what everybody's going to be talking about, which is just hitting now, is ray tracing. So the RTX line is the first one that I understand has ray tracing capability. This is live ray tracing. I'm going to talk about that. Microsoft, it seems, updated their DirectX API to support ray tracing, and now nVIDIA came out with this card. This card I think literally may have hit the market 6-8 weeks ago. I've had this computer for 5 weeks, so maybe a little longer. I got it in. Then I went on vacation, and I haven't had a chance to do this video. So I've had this thing for 5 weeks. So maybe sometime in July or early August, these new graphic cards were released. nVIDIA has been working with game publishers to make sure they include in their games support for ray tracing. They have to actually code to it. So there's a bunch of promised games coming in the fall, including Call of Duty. The new Call of Duty for PC will be, ray tracing. Was it Battlefield? Battlefield 5 is going to have it. What I have now that I've run is, I'm going to talk about what ray tracing is, but I'm going to show you Stay in the Light, which ray tracing, the Quake 2 demo, I guess it is, with the ray tracing. And then I also run the Youngblood Wolfenstein, which is one of those games that had promised to support ray tracing. It's just they got the game out on the market, and they're going to do a refresh later on. So yeah, I'm doing all this. Let's talk about ray tracing. So the best way I can explain is, like, when you're playing a video game and you're walking, say you're carrying a torch or something, or there's a light source on the wall. The programmers had to do a bunch of things to sort of trick and emulate how light would bounce off of that. And the difference with ray tracing, though, is it actually starts at the source. So if you take ray tracing and invert the words, and you say tracing the rays, you're tracing the light rays. So if you start at the light, so I have a light here, and instead of just trying to, calculate at the surface of my shiny bald head here, you start at the light, emulate the rays of light coming out, the color, the temperature of the light, and how would it bounce off the surface? Is it stone? Is it reflective? Is it glass? Is it skin? And how would that reflect? And is there any coloring that's coming off it? Are there multiple sources of light? And doing this in real time so that the game just interacts with it and the lighting becomes more realistic. Even Minecraft is going to be supporting this. I've seen some video demos they've put out. I think they got a lot of press on that Minecraft, it really kind of changes the game from a cartoonish sort of blocky game to something really, more real world, although not real world. I have some hobbyist experience with ray tracing. I remember, I'm gonna go back like 20 years ago. I had a program with people with 3D model universes, just a scene, like a static scene, and you would bring your light in and drop it in there. I want to say it was Blender, maybe like one of the early Blender versions, but you put one light source in there and you'd set it up and you'd hit render and you'd go away for the night and come back the next morning to see how it rendered the one frame. Now, of course, this is, maybe it's a little bit more detailed, I don't know, but the point is, what took me when I was a hobbyist, an entire evening to render the RTX line of supercards is going to be able to do this in real time as you're playing the game. I'm going to show you some examples. So we're also at the point now where I don't totally understand if ray tracing is just one thing or if there's multiple facets of it, and to what degree the game developers are including this. So we're at that stage now where it's like, they're just getting this new toy, right? So we're going to see some games pop off. Maybe some of them won't be as impressive as others, but you can see probably coming into 2020, it's going to be more prevalent in games, and maybe you'll see the other other manufacturers following suit to provide that feature also. So the box, I think I talked about this. Yeah, PC part picker. You can go in and actually I work in the computer industry. I'm in the financial firm. We have like 400 or 500 technologists, software developers, infrastructure guys, systems guys. So all the nerdiest guys, and we actually went through this system and tried to part it out, and for the price that I paid, it comes out really good for and you got to keep in mind, I bought it as one unit. There's a warranty on it as one product. I bought it through Amazon, so for some amount of money, I forget what that was. I don't want to use my hands because my hands seem to throw the lighting off in this dark room when on the video. But I was able to buy a warranty that covers the whole entire product. And, there's just, not everybody wants to go through and analyze every little motherboard. And, let's look at it that way, right? You decide you want to get the i7-9700k chip. There's 100 different motherboards to choose from. So if you're just a guy who wants to have, edit his kids' Little League videos, and every once in a while jump in and play some Call of Duty or some Minecraft with ray tracing, you don't really want to spend, you may not be able to spend all that time figuring out which of the 15 Asus cards are the best cards, you just want to say, hey, what's something that's a good value, good price, great product, great features, and I'm just going to buy it, have it delivered, and I'm done with it. I'll plug this thing in, I'm happy. Or if dad's buying it for his 12-year-old, same story. They're gonna love it. there's a huge market for this. So keep it, I'm going to jump right in next. I'm going to review the computer, take you through a tour of the computer. Remember, this is the i7-9700k model. There is an AMD 3700X model on Amazon. And I bought this with my own money. Nobody's paying me to do this. Nobody asked me to do this. I'm doing this one because I just enjoy it. But I am an Amazon associate. So if you do like what I'm showing here, whether the individual components or the computers, I have links. Please click through the links. You pay the exact same price that Amazon pays, charges. It's just if it comes through my link, I do get a little bit of a credit for it. It doesn't really add up to a lot of money. It's just, it's kind of like when people do YouTube videos, they like to, they keep score by how many people viewed the video. I sort of keep score by just, it's nice to also say, oh wow, I did a video and 3 people actually, bought that item. So please, putting a lot of effort into this, and if I've helped you make your mind up over a purchase, whether it's the card or the chip or the system, go through my link. I'm rambling. Hang on, guys. Here comes the overview. All right, so this is the system right here. As you can see, there's plexiglass in the front. 3 fans, beautiful colors with the RGB. The fan's exhaust from the side. So first warning is, this is the top when you open up the box. You're gonna have a natural desire to want to get your fingers in there because it's encased in foam. To pull that out, don't do it. You're gonna cause problems. Take your time, have a friend maybe hold the box. Up top you have some ports for USB, 2 USB ports, and the headphone mic jack, which just, but this is the back end underneath the desk. This makes it real easy to access. And the power's here, push to the left, power goes on. Okay, in the back up here, of course, is the area where the motherboard is, the Asus Z390. Well, the Asus, we'll talk about that in a second. The Asus motherboard has the old school keyboard and mouse jacks. There is, display port in there and an HDMI port. We're not using them because you're going to use them. You're going to use the connection from the video card. Up here, I have 2 USB jacks plugged in. What do I have here? This is the mouse and the keyboard, actually. We have more USB jacks down here. I have 2 here. I think I have some webcams connected into this. I forget what I even have plugged in. This is the Ethernet jack. I'm not using Wi-Fi. I do have wired into the room. I'll jump down to here. This is, if you can see this, these 2 nubs, they do give you antennas. This is sort of a Wi-Fi extender. It was installed. I'm not using it, so I never plugged them in. And then up here we have the video card, the MSI GTX 2070 Super. I'm plugged in. I only have one connection right now, one screen, sorry. It's HDMI. I'm running 1080. I'm not even running 4K. So you have 4 ports with this guy. The way I see it is 1 is HDMI, 3 are DisplayPort, and you can have, right out of the box, it'll handle 4 monitors without changing a thing. All right, now we're inside. I removed the glass. It's just 2 screws on the back, very easy. As you can see, there are 4 lit fans here. The 3 in the front, you're just catching a glimpse of them. They're pulling air from the unit. This back here, this fan is part of the liquid cooling system. You can see the 2 pipes going into the cooling unit, which is sitting on top of the Intel processor. So that's a nice little system there, flowing air through, pulling it up. You have vents on the top, vents in the front, getting good circulation. Although I've seen some comments from folks in Amazon saying they've upgraded the liquid cooler already. It's an i7-9700k as mentioned. This right here is the MSI GeForce RTX 2070 Super card. That's the only labeling that's on this guy. There's nothing in it that says what brand, what of the models. They have multiple models. When I look underneath, and I don't, I'd show you because I just don't want the image to be jerky. The fan structure, it's 2 fans underneath feeding the card directly. The bevels of it, the cut, it looks like the Ventus card. It just matches up pretty closely to me. So it makes me wonder that either A, if this is comparable or close to their Ventus line, or B, because this is sort of a mass-marketed, mass-developed PC, do they like sort of remove the Ventus aspect from it to sort of protect the retail product line, I guess is what I'm trying to go for. So this is the 2070 Super. So also in the back here, if you can see, I believe you can, that little memory card, that is the SSD card. That is an Intel 660 SD card, 1 terabyte. So that's a nice name brand. When I ran some benchmarks on this, that SSD card came back very, very fast in comparative to other cards. Back here we have the memory. This is it's red. This is the Crucial brand Ballistix. So coming with this box is the 2400 speed memory, but the motherboard itself can support much faster memory cards. So we'll talk about that in a second. It came with 16 gigs, 2 8-gig chips, and they can be upgraded. There's only 2 slots there, so you can upgrade it to, I guess, 32 with 2 16-gig chips. I don't know if they're planning on coming out with more higher chips for that. I didn't look at the specifications. A lot of room left in the box. Room down here. You have a card. I have a card taken up down here just for those Wi-Fi connectors. Whoa, hit the fan. I don't need them. Room up here. So it's a nice, cleanly developed box. The wiring is nice and crisp and clean. There's actually not a lot of need for exposed wiring. Unlike, I was reading some of the reviews for that Walmart PC, the overclock brand that came out over 2019, and people just hammered it for its build and just gave the whole pre-built computers, an even worse name than what they already had. And this thing's nice and clean. I think there's no complaints. And everything just worked. When I opened this guy up, plugged it in, started it up, it just worked. Nothing was loose. Nothing was disconnected. Well, I just wanted to pop back on. I forgot to show. This does come with a remote control. You don't have to put up with all the interesting light color choices. You can pick solid colors. There are different modes. There's brightness. You can adjust the brightness down. You can turn it off. Obviously, the fans are still going. Turn it back on. Maybe white is a little bit more crisper for what you want to do. Dim it down. I'm going to go with it's an aqua with a green variety, since we're in Philadelphia Eagles territory. All right, so I'm going to repeat a little bit what we just saw on the machine. I'm sitting at the computer now. I'm filming this portion with a DJI Osmo Pocket. I'll provide a link for it. It's a great camera, stabilizer, gimbal arm. Bring up some links here. Again, i7-9700k chip. That's the choice I went with. There's the exact comparable machine with the same basic features available on Amazon. I'll provide a link to it that has the AMD 3700X. Tom's Hardware gave this chip a really good review, 4 out of 5 stars. Let's see, 4 out of 5 stars, I guess, or whatever their clarification is. They also do compare it to the 3700X. They give the AMD chip a little bit of a nod, but I will tell you again, the Intel, on everything I saw on the YouTube videos where guys really get into this, the frames per second for gaming was faster on the this Intel chip. And some of the more business applications, the video editing, which I'm going to show some in a second, was a little bit faster on the AMD chip. I'm primarily going to be doing video editing, but I'm very happy with the choice. This Intel version right now is running a little bit cheaper on Amazon for this build. CPU hierarchy. This is Tom's Hardware hierarchy. Apparently they set the standard with 100 with the 8700K chip. There's a bunch of comparisons too between this 9700K and the 8700K because this is seen as the next step in the hierarchy, I guess, for Intel. You'll see though the 8700K only has 6 cores, but it has 12 with hyperthreading. Interesting twist: the 9700K has 8 cores. So you have more cores, but they don't have hyperthreading. So, in a lot of ways, though, you are getting better performance, though, especially in gaming, because it has more physical cores, which a lot of applications, most applications, I guess, code to, but it doesn't have the hyperthreading. They stack the 3700X right above it. There's no scores for these, so I guess maybe that means they haven't run them through the full gauntlet of tests, but there's no score for that. But they do put it, above the 9700K, and also just to call out, people kind of beat this up also, it uses 95 watts, the Intel chip, and the AMD is almost 50% less. So the next big feature that people want to know about is the nVIDIA card. It's the 2070 Super video card. So you get it with the 2070. This is an MSI card. I am not saying this is the Ventus card. I don't know that for certain, but I will tell you that when I looked at the card closely and how the fan configuration was, it is 2 fans, just like the Ventus. The bevels looked exactly the same on the fans. So it could be a Ventus, or it could be a Ventus where they took the labeling off, if it was even there, to sort of protect retailers versus the bulk builders, or maybe it's just a little bit different. But it seems to be in that
category. That being said, it is the guts of it. It is an NVIDIA chip. Basically, I think what these people do is they buy the chip itself from NVIDIA, get the specifications, and they build the card around it. Probably should have did this first. This is the motherboard, the Prime Z390P. This is a really nice motherboard. I mentioned before how a lot of people get confused with building their own system. I'm actually happy to just let CyberPower pick the motherboard for me. This looks like a good one. Has a ton of USB ports. 3.1 Gen 2, 3.1 Gen 1, 2 and 4. There's USB on motherboard. It has Octane memory. It supports up to 4266 memory. You only get 2400 on the from the box. Pre-built. There's the M2 slots. There's an M2 socket. There's an M2 memory. There's just all over the place. It's just a lot of room to expand this thing. 4 SATA ports built in, 6 gigabits a second. Speaking of again, I'm repeating the Intel SSD is the 660 brand. It's a 1 terabyte card. Yeah, they're showing it here at 94 for that. It actually, some of the benchmarks I did, the read and write speed on this was like way off the charts, like 50 to 100% faster than what they consider to be good. So that's great for there. Ballistic memory. It's a Crucial brand. I think I have a screen. I must have changed it. There, Crucial has a bazillion options for memory between all the different speed capabilities and the brands. There are two different products on Amazon. One is the Intel based one, one's the Ryzen. So the same, they're pitching it as the same specs in regards to memory and SSD and the 2070 Super.
All right, so I'm going to jump into now to Davinci Resolve, which is a video editing program put out by Blackmagic. By the way, I switched over to the Hero 7 Black camera now because, quite honestly, I didn't charge the battery well enough on the Osmo. You cannot swap out the battery on the Osmo. It's baked in. So Blackmagic software, the Davinci Resolve software, is video editing. I used to be an Adobe Premiere user through the Creative Cloud. It's a great value if you use the full suite or a significant amount of suite of applications that you get with the Adobe Creative Cloud. It's $50 a month. I think for the first year you can get a trial at $30 a month. I found that I was just doing video editing and I started looking at alternatives. Davinci Resolve is 90% of it is 95% of it is free. You get the full utilization of the application. If you do want to purchase it for, I think, $300, first off, that seems to be, you pay it one time and you just keep getting updates forever. People have been using this for 5, 6, 7 years and they've never paid again. But what it does is, I believe the paid version, it utilizes all the cores on your CPU, whereas if you have the free version, I think it may limit it to 1. And a couple other minor things, maybe like teamwork. So, I paid the $300. It was a savings for me. I canceled my Creative Cloud account. So we're going to jump in. When I was doing this with my old laptop, I had to use the Intel onboard processor, and the 1080-60 video was taking like 12 frames a second to render out, and that's because it did have I do have an NVIDIA card on my old laptop, but it doesn't have the CUDA version, so the high enough version to sort of support rendering on the GPU, and that's why, jumping around, we're finally getting to the point of why we're talking about this. With the newer video cards, just like people with doing the Bitcoin mining, they're using video cards to sort of harness the power of the GPU for something more than just rendering video game graphics. The video editing companies, Premiere, Davinci Resolve, and others have found the way through the API to utilize the GPU's power to render out the video. So I have my video here. This is a video. I have another blog, sort of a retail news blog for my regional area. And it's pretty simple. It's 1080-60 video. I'm going to render it out as 1080-60. I do have some titles in here that I've done with Davinci Resolve. Let me just get ahead of that and play that. You can see them pop out like that. So I'm not doing a lot of things. There's some transitions between the clips and things, and it's through the Osmo. Now I'm going to I have this set up at H.264. I'm using, pick the encoder, that's the NVIDIA. You have to pick the NVIDIA. I'm sticking with the native resolution at 60 frames a second. We're going to add it to the render queue. Yeah, replace. I did a test. Start the render. Now up here to tell you frames per second. So when it's doing the simple title, it's 60, 70. Here I'm into the 300 frames per second. Now again, I totally get it. It's it's the exact same size video going out to the exact same size video, so to a degree it's copying. But let me tell you, this was running at like 12 frames a second on my laptop before I got the 2070 Super card. So you'll see it drops down a bit when it does these titles because it's doing some calculations there, but even that's pretty darn fast. So this thing is flying through here. Again, there's a title it's dropping down. And 1 minute remaining. How long is this video? 6.5 minutes, maybe a minute and a half rendering. I think I'm real happy with that ratio. You know, you're doing all your editing online interactively in the application. You're actually going to stop this because that's another facet too. Scrubbing, you know, the ability of just drag through and have it respond. If you have a slower PC or a slower GPU, what'll happen is you won't get sort of the, you know, it's picking up a lot of frames, and if you have a slower system or a slower GPU, it'll sort of stack. You'll get one frame, and then it'll 30 seconds later it'll catch up and show the next frame. This guy's pretty much just buzzing through this. So that's Davinci Resolve. I'm real happy with the software. I'm real happy with the performance that I'm getting from the system. I'm going to jump over into Steam. I guess I should have had this prepped. Library. We're going to go to Stay in the Light, Play. So there's some cutscenes here. I may actually just stop talking for a second while this loads up and then come back to it. All right. So we're finally getting to the, I clipped out the intro, but we're finally at the game. You can see I am interactively controlling this. So this is ray tracing mode, and I'll show you this when we get out of here, but right off the bat, sort of the extra lighting effects that you get. If you look to the ground, to the left of the torch, you can see sort of the light flickering on the bottom there. That is the effect that you get from ray tracing. So that isn't coded, like that effect is coded per se, that you know, someone said, hey, I need that to flicker. It's more of the ray tracing algorithm is seeing the light source of the torch and sort of from it sending out beams. That's what ray tracing does. It sends out, you know, as if it was real light beams. And okay, how does this bounce off that surface? What is that surface? Is it reflective? Is it stone? And how would it be? How should it be presented? So it's a really neat effect. It's, I don't know if it's earth shattering, but it does add an extra layer of realism to the game. I don't have my headphones on. I obviously don't have the audio going. Somewhere along the line, I played this for a few seconds prior, and it had some, oh, pick up treasure. I missed that. Where's the treasure? I don't know. I'm just trying to get in here, see some of the effects. So this is Stay in the Light. I think it's more of a puzzle-based game, and it is fully using ray tracing. And how I know that, if you have an NVIDIA card, we're going to exit out of here. Hopefully this happens easily. All right, we're going to leave Steam and go to Geforce. So this is their, it's where you download the new drivers, and you know, the games load up. You can see my Minecraft there. The games load up, and you can click on and see the details. Now, it will set for you the optimal settings. So NVIDIA is saying, hey, we know our card. We can figure out your system. We're going to set optimal settings. For the most part, by the way, I haven't mentioned this. I'm on a 1080 HD system. I don't have a 4K monitor here. The card definitely supports 4K. You can see that the resolution full. You know, when I look at these games here, it shows me as being just like maxed as you would expect, right? So right here, ray traced ambient occlusion. I'm not even sure what that means. Ray traced reflections, full. So we're getting the ray trace capabilities on here. I have a couple other games that I downloaded that say they are supporting the ray trace, like this Youngblood game, but I think, you know, there's nothing here referencing ray tracing, so I think that maybe there's still an update to come. These games are really just rolling out. Minecraft says they're supporting it. It's not there yet. Now, Quake is another game that this is sort of a old school shareware sort of sample, and it does support the ray tracing, but God rays, I believe that's the same thing. But it, yeah, it's just not as, the graphics itself from the game are a little old school, I think. Let's see if this was a mistake to jump into this here. Oh, I didn't know I had to actually click that. So, as you can see, that beam is, you can see the reflection on the ground. Yeah, the graphics are nice in this game. It's just they're a little bit blockier, I guess, the characters, but it is just I've actually, you know, I was a big Doom, Quake. I go back to Commander Keen. Who remembers Commander Keen on the old, what was it, 3.1 Windows? That may have been a DOS game. So I go back to the early Quake and Doom games. But all right, so now I've jumped into Castle Wolfenstein Youngblood. Now this game is supposedly will have the ray tracing capabilities in it, which is why I downloaded it, plus the fact that I think I paid $15 for it. But the other thing it does is, you know, firing this up on the 2070 Super, it's set everything on ultra settings. I'm running 1080, I'm not on 4K. I need to upgrade my monitor. I don't know how to get out of here, but you can see I'm in the 200s, sometimes at 300, maybe it's in a more static image. It does drop a little bit below 200 when you know, there's some distance. You can see it's 186 now. It's calculating as I'm moving. But you know, this is, you just can't beat this, right? 180, 200, 300 frames per second. I don't know anything about this game. I do. It seems like you need to play 2 people with this game, so I jumped on and someone popped online with me. I don't even know what happened to her. We were on the upper level. Oh, there she is. And I don't know. Don't look at me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to get back up to the upper level. She did some sort of transport thing. Do you want to travel? Hit T. All right, Jess, where are you? She's calling me. She's mad. So anyway, just wanted to give a sample of what's going on with the graphics here. Hitting over 200 there, 300. Just really impressive with the 2070 Super card running on the i7-9700k. So I wanted to say, I think I'll wrap up the review here as I continue annoying my partner Jess here. Great system. I provide links for it. As I said earlier, I am an Amazon associate. I bought this computer out of my own cash. Doing this review on my own. This is my own overview. If you do choose to buy the computer, please click through the link. It costs you no extra money, but Amazon just sort of tracks it and gives me a little bit of a credit for it. And you know, again, I said this earlier, it's not like I'm making any real money from this. It's just, it's kind of cool to keep score, to see that I'm putting videos out. You know, you want to see the views go up on your YouTube videos. It's also cool to see, you know, some sales hit. So you know, I did some reviews with a little cable for the DJI Osmo camera, and people, you know, were buying it. It was like a $9 cable. I was getting like 10-cent commission on it or something. But anyway, please follow through. Check out the system. I'm real happy with it. The Cyberpower i7-9700k chip. You know, I'll do an overlay of what the model number is. And of course, again, you'll have the links on the YouTube and on the website. Thanks, guys.